For today's lesson on the smart money reversal, we're going to go over what is it, how do you recognize it on the chart, what does that framework look like, and how do you use this with the IFEG model. Essentially, the smart money reversal is a framework that plays out whenever price is signifying that we are going to start the next side of the market maker model. The smart money reversal cycle has 5 steps. First, we get a turtle soup. Second, we get a CISD. Third, we get a breaker block. Fourth, we get either the IFEG model, the 2022, or maybe even the unicorn model. And fifth, we get distribution. Starting with step 1, the turtle soup. Turtle soup is simply when price comes and takes liquidity without breaking structure or closing below the low. In this scenario here, price came down at 10.15, hit our low, taking liquidity, but did not close through the low. This is textbook turtle soup here. The next step is that CISD, or change in state of delivery, which you can simply think of as an inverse manipulation leg. And a manipulation leg is simply a leg or swing in price that comes down and either runs liquidity or taps into an unfilled for value gap or inefficiency. That third step is going to be that breaker block, which is just an inverse order block. And then the next step after that is simply your entry model, whether you want that to be your IFEG model, unicorn setup, 2022, whatever it is. And finally, we distribute, right? Now we're going to look at a couple examples of how you would use the SMR in practice, starting with today's example, which was this 3-minute SMR, where price came down, manipulated below the low, creating a turtle soup. After we ran out London low, and then price came up after the turtle soup, and we close above the body high of the manipulation leg. Okay, the manipulation leg has to be a continuous series of either up close or down close candles. In this case, we have this 3-minute. So when price closes above that body, we get the 1021 candle, creating the CISD, and then to the left of that, the 1009 and 1006 form our bearish OB to the downside. When the 1021 candle closes above that bearish OB, we also get our breaker. So turtle soup, CISD, and breaker. Next, what you can do after you've gotten that confirmation of the SMR is look for your entry model. So here we actually have 2. We have the IFEG setup here, and we also have the 2022 here. Once you've kind of established your framework for entry, you know with the IFEG model, that entry is going to be here-ish. And then we have the stop loss being the inception gap. And then you're going to target buy side liquidity, right? If we sweep out sell side, and then sell side if we sweep out buy side. Because the whole entire idea of this framework is that this will trigger the next side of the curve. So we can expect the market maker model to complete at buy side. Here's an example where we can see price failing to reverse after taking out London low, usually considered a very good liquidity sweep. We see price inverse the 1-minute gap here. It looks like price wants to reach for this high inside the gap for the break even, but ultimately the setup fails. One reason could be that, we don't get an SMR there. Another reason could be that the 5-minute gap rejected price. But ultimately, I think it's because we kind of broke structure to the downside, signaling that price wasn't ready to reverse. So even with an inverse and an OB, this isn't telling you that we want to complete the market maker model at the high here. What is going to happen though, price is going to come down and soup this low that we left all the way from back here, right? So starting our condition for the SMR, where we get our turtle soup, and then we go up the time frame here. We have this nice little breaker block scenario about to form where we have our bearish OB, and then obviously we have our CISD here. It looks even better on the 5-minute. So price is going to come up. We're going to see this close above this candle body high, creating our CISD, creating our breaker block. And now what you can do is, even though we haven't inversed the significant gap here being this 5-minute, this SMR setup is going to tell you enough about price's wantingness to go and complete the market maker buy model So you could potentially look for an entry on the lower time frame here, whether that's a confirmation setup for the IFVG model, or just a 2022 style setup. There was a nice little confirmation setup here after we closed above this 1 minute breaker block here. And so ultimately what this SMR tells you isn't necessarily about an entry model per se, because maybe you're already in from the 3 minute inverse here. Maybe you got stopped out break even or whatever, or maybe you're already in from this 1 minute confirmation setup. But what this SMR here tells you, and one more way that you can use the framework, is that your runners here are going to be good to complete the market maker buy model. Okay. So there's that high, completing the market maker buy model, taking that buy side liquidity. All right, here's one final way that you can use the SMR framework. As you can see here, price came down, we ran previous day low, and we created this scenario for taking the inverse model. We have singular gap, decent momentum, not really the best. If you go down to the 1 minute here, you can see it kind of got choppy. So this would kind of be that scenario where, like, it's not really V-shaped, you don't have a lot of momentum. Maybe it's better to wait for some extra confirmation. And then when we get to the inverse, you can see that, oh no, price came up, we hit the high, we invalidated the entry model. We know that we're putting in a high probability reversal here because we've souped previous day low. We've swept out liquidity. It makes sense to come up and address some of these, liquidity targets here, the equal highs, the stacked highs up here, London high, whatever. And so now you don't necessarily want to miss this setup because you know that it's a greater likelihood that we'll go and run that liquidity at buy side versus heading lower for sell side as long as we get that order flow switch. And so because the 3 minute invalidated, what you can do with the SMR here is find an opportunity for that entry model using a different framework. Maybe in this scenario, you use the unicorn model here where we have the breaker block plus the FVG, right? And you can see on the 3 minute, this is a very clean SMR. We get our 3 minute breaker here. We get our CISD where we come down, we run the low, and then obviously our turtle soup. And so just to recap, we have the setup where you can just take it with the IFVG model itself. We have the setup where you look for confluence with the SMR, and if you see one, have conviction in price putting in that either buy or sell side of the curve. And finally, you can use it as an additional confluence to pair with a different entry model, knowing that as long as we get this framework, it is incredibly likely that we will go and target the opposite side of liquidity. So one more time, the framework starts with the turtle soup, which then leads into a change in state of delivery, followed by a breaker block, then your entry model, and finally we'll distribute to the opposite side of liquidity. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like, comment down below if you have any questions. If you want to trade with me live and see me use this framework, get some hands-on learning, go to wap.com/nqreliable. This week marks 1 year of PM Stream, so I plan on doing a sale for that. If you haven't been a part of PM Stream before and you would like to join, now would be a great opportunity to do that. And I hope you have a great day. Peace out, everyone.